Welcome everyone, my name is Rigel and welcome back to Review and Preview, the series where I take a look at the national finals that happened the week past and take a look into the future, into the national finals that will happen the week coming. Now, just like last episode, I'm actually going to do 3 weeks in these videos, but that's because I also covered 3 weeks last time. I'm not going to go too much into detail into the first week that I'm going to cover here. So since I've already talked about it a lot in the previous videos, so yeah, I'll just go over it very quickly. If I'm talking more quiet than usual, it's because I'm trying to record this in the dormitory, and plus my voice isn't doing great, so yeah, I'm having to, juggle those things, but the show must go on. So, yeah, let's get into it. The week of the 17th, which I believe is week 3 of February. Let's go over it very quickly. First, we had Etapa Națională from Moldova. I didn't watch it, I'll be very honest, but the winner turned out to be Natalia Barbu, who was also one of the favorites actually, and she previously represented Moldova in 2006, I believe. Anyways, she has returned, and after that, the second place was Valeria Pasha, who I think I talked about. She's one of the backing vocalists of Pasha Parfeni, who also co-wrote the song actually, but yeah, after that, actually, it was revealed that they had basically had a tie, Natalia Barbu and Valeria Pasha, but because basically Natalia Barbu got 12 in the jury and 10 in the televote, while Valeria Pasha got 10 in the jury and 12 in the televote. So the tiebreaker was decided to be the jury for some reason, and afterwards Valeria Pasha tried to sue, but then they responded, like the broadcaster responded, that apparently there are a bunch of fraudulent votes from like exotic countries, they called it. So yeah, the appeal, the sue didn't really work. So yeah, Natalia Barbu will now represent Moldova in Eurovision 2024. After this, we had Estonia, with, of course, the national final, Eesti Laul, and basically, what was very interesting was that in the first round of voting, where there was also a jury, had there not been a super final, Ollie would have won actually, because the jury really liked Ollie for some reason. Of course, the 5 Minus D and Bulup got a very big televote, but they didn't get as much of a jury vote, as much jury points compared to Ollie. So actually, in the first round, it was revealed in the results afterwards that Ollie actually won the first round. But yeah, anyways, Ollie and also 5 Minus D and Bulup did enter the second round, and unsurprisingly, 5 Minus D and Bulup did win with their song with a very long name. So yeah, that's about it. Honestly, nothing unexpected, to be honest. So yeah, so that's Eesti Laul. Estonia will now be represented by 5 Minus D and Bulup with the song Nendest narkotikumidest ei tea me küll midagi. So with that said, let's move on to Sweden, who had their third heat of Melodifestivalen. In this heat, we had Cassiopeia and also Jacqueline go to the final directly, direct till final. We also had Claudie and Gunilla Persson go to the second chance round, while unfortunately Clara Klingenström didn't even qualify for both of those. So yeah, I think a lot of people were really liking Clara Klingenström, but they also kind of agreed that the song wasn't as strong as Behöver inte dig idag, but still, people wanted her to qualify, but she didn't even qualify to the second chance round. So yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. But yeah, basically, Jacqueline is actually a little bit of a favorite now, I would say, to win. Not fully, because we will talk about Melody Festival later in terms of who's going to win. But yeah, we do have Jacqueline as a little bit of a favorite, but that's about it. And also, I think Gunilla Persson's song is also pretty popular on Spotify in Sweden. So yeah, there's that. But from Sweden, we go over the border to Denmark, where we had the MGP, the national final, and again, like with Moldova, I'll just be honest, I did not watch this at all. But surprisingly, Denmark actually made a good decision for once. Now, I think I mentioned in the previous video that the favorite is Saba with the song Sand, and surprisingly, she actually won. Because there was a super final system, just like in Estonia, and in the super final, unlike in Estonia, there was also a jury. And actually, in the super final, Saba won the jury, while I think she only got third with the televote. So yeah, understandably, people are a bit annoyed by that again, because I'm pretty sure that's also what led to Riley winning last year. But people aren't complaining this time, at least in the Eurofan community, because for once, this is actually kind of widely agreed to be the strongest song in the selection. And for once, they actually selected it. And then after the selection, people started making memes about Sand, because like I mentioned earlier, the song is called Sand, and there's one part where Saba just sings Sand, Sand, and then people are just making memes like, what can you find on a beach, or even like, what is the button to put a tweet out to the internet, or whatever. So yeah, some interesting memes coming out of this, but yeah, for once, Denmark actually made the right decision. But from Denmark, a national final I didn't watch, to a national final that I very much did watch, was of course Eurovision Daskes LD. Now, I'm sure you've all seen by now my video from Sridurio Arena, that winner's reprise performance of Look Delk, which has over 18,000 views as of recording this. I don't know how that's possible, but thank you so much. I might look into uploading other live footage that I took at national finals. Maybe I'll upload Baskana or something, who knows. Leave a comment if you want that. So yeah, back to Lithuania for a minute. It was a great event. I will edit the vlog for Klaipėda at some point, but it was a great experience. You know, I met up with Bine. He was really cool. The whole experience was very cool because we were actually sat right in front of basically what I could only call a Sylvester fan club. Like, they had a banner, they had balloons and everything. So yeah, that was interesting. But yeah, the show itself was all right as well. You know, the arena wasn't that huge. I said incorrectly that the arena was 22,000 capacity, but no, that's not the one. That was that's an arena in Kaunas, I believe, that has 22,000 capacity. The Sridurio Arena just has 6,000, I think. So yeah, not a huge arena, but still a pretty big place. And I think the performances were interesting. We were actually sat right behind one of those camera crane things, and I actually said to Bind we're 100% going to end up on TV footage, but actually the exact opposite happened. Because we were behind the camera, we weren't actually featured on anything at all, except for like maybe one tiny pixel at some times. But yeah, back to the songs. There were a few, and actually one surprising one to me was And actually, one surprising one to me was Shower. That was, I think that's the name of the band, but yeah, Shower sang a song called Impossible, and it was surprisingly popular. Like, in the arena, there were a lot of people cheering for it very loudly, and like, for a second, I was thinking, what if Shower wins this out of nowhere instead of Sylvester Belt? Now, unfortunately, that didn't happen, but I was really surprised that happened, considering I wasn't really rating the song that highly. But yeah, Shower's song was surprisingly popular with the audience in the studio. So yeah, there was that, and because of that, I wasn't as surprised when I found out, that they had been part of the super final alongside the Roop and Sylvester Belt, and of course Sylvester Belt won in the end. But also we did see that Sylvester Belt won very resoundingly, of course, but we were also surprised to see that the Roop hadn't even gotten second in the televote in the super final. Yeah, that's about all I have to say for Eurovision-LT. There were other things which will come in the vlog soon, but in terms of Eurovision results, Sylvester Belt won, and actually is surprisingly popular. I like the song, but somehow it's gotten to like third place or fourth place in the Eurovision scoreboard app, and I just don't really get it. But yeah, Sylvester Belt will now represent Lithuania with the song Luk Delk. With that said, let's move on to Iceland, who had their first semi-final on the same day as well. But I don't really have much to say about this one because, let's be honest, the more eventful semifinal happened the week past. So, yeah, this was the first semifinal, and Vibe was one of the qualifiers with the song Biomind, and as we will discuss later, they are also the only ones in the final who will stick to the Icelandic version of the song. So, yeah, that's about it. There was another qualifier who, unfortunately, I can't remember at this moment. But yeah, that's the national finals from week 3 of February. So with that said, let's go very quickly over these internal selections. Poland, they announced that Luna will represent Poland with the song The Tower. As I mentioned, one of the favorites was Justina. However, it was revealed later that in the final vote, Justina lost to Luna by 1 point. So I'm sure that's not going to cause any drama whatsoever. But yeah, Luna is still representing Poland this year, so yeah, there's that. Afterwards, we also got the release for Musti's song for Belgium, which is named Before the Party's Over. Now, I haven't listened to this, but I really feel like it's going to be up my lane. It's actually very popular, even among fans right now. I would say like 5th or 6th, maybe, in the Eurovision scoreboard app, or even higher than that. And I think Belgium is like 5th right now in the Eurovision winning odds, which, we'll get to, but wow, that is insane. Because previously they were at like 15th or even lower, so all the way up to top 5. That's insane. So yeah, that's Musti for Belgium with the song Before the Party's Over. So after this, we had this week now, or I guess last week technically, we had Dora. Now Dora's obviously the national final for Croatia, but you can see here we had semifinals, which hasn't been a thing in Dora for a very, very long time. At least a decade. So yeah, they brought back the semifinals, and during each semifinal we had also Slimane for the first semifinal, Slimane from France, and also Raven from Slovenia singing Veronica for the second semifinal as an interval act. So it's no real point talking about the qualifiers now, but because we're going to talk about the final of Dora anyway. So let's talk now about the last week of February and what happened there. First off, we had Heat 4 of Melody Festivalen. Now, this week we had some big names like Dotter and Dani Saucedo. Now, those two went direct till final. However, there were some concerns over Dotter because yeah, some people considered her song to be very weak, and the staging wasn't very interesting as well, according to some people. But still, she did make it to the final, although Dani Saucedo was the kind of winner of the whole heat. So it took further voting to find out that Dotter will also be going direct till final. Now, afterwards, we also had Albin Tingvall, I believe, for the second chance round, as well as Scarlet, I think they're called. The duo, I think, is Scarlet or Scarlet X or something like that, singing a song called Circus X. No idea. But those were, I believe this duo was kind of regarded as one of the more out there choices for Sweden, but yeah, they could have just NQ'd entirely, but they didn't. They did make it directly to, well, not directly, but they did make it to the second chance round, where they could possibly end up in the final once again. And speaking of countries with Nordic crosses in their flags, let's go back to Iceland, where we had the second semifinal of Söngvakeppnin. Now, I mentioned that this event, this semifinal, was the more eventful one because we had Bashar Murad, the Palestinian, and we also had a wild card. Now, first off, back to Bashar Murad. Now, there's been a lot of controversy about this, but the idea is that he didn't apply because of the whole October 7th thing, right? The submission period ended in early September, and really the only reason Bashar Murad applied was that he thought Iceland was cool, and because he had worked with Hattari in the past, and I'm pretty sure Wild West is also written with Hattari. So yeah, he entered this song into Söngvakeppnin prior to all the big events in Gaza. So this was not politically motivated. This was not related to any of that. So he just submitted the song because he thought Iceland was cool. So a lot of people are making a great deal out of nothing. And there's also a little bit of kind of misinformation going around, claiming that Bashar Murad had already been selected for Iceland. Which isn't true. It could become true. But right now it isn't really true. Anyways, Bashar Murad had to perform the Icelandic language version of his song Vestri Vist, and so that was very interesting. He pronounced it very well, and if you ask me, I think the stage show was really, really cool as well, especially that like hat throw and transitioning into a different camera shot. I thought that was really cool. And I personally think the Icelandic language version of the song was better than the English one, but I guess the English one is a little bit more sing-alongable, if that's even a word. So yeah, that's Bashar Murad. The second direct qualifier for the final was Hera Björk, who you might remember represented Iceland in 2010, and now she's back in the selection. And the reason I kind of single her out specifically is because for some reason a group who and I quote, manages the conversation between Icelanders and Israelis, end quote, are promoting people to vote for Hera Björk over Bashar Murad, which is a little bizarre considering Hera Björk, oh god, I can't speak today, Hera Björk isn't really even the favorite. Like, she qualifies, sure, but I would argue that Vibe with Biomint is more of a favorite, and it's a little puzzling why they didn't pick why they didn't promote them to go to Eurovision rather than Hera Björk. So yeah, it's a little bit weird, but basically an Israeli campaign group is trying to get Icelanders to vote for Hera Björk. So we'll see how that goes, but I don't think that's how it's going to go down. in any case, we also had a wild card, and that wild card this time was Siga Osk, who had sung a kind of boppy song, I suppose. I don't really know how to describe it, but yeah, you might remember Siga Osk from last year as well, or maybe the year before then, but she's very recent in Sova Kapanen as well, and she's back. And then, yeah, this past Saturday, she was announced as the wild card. And basically, the idea, I think, with these wild cards is they just compare the non-qualifiers in terms of raw number of how many votes were cast for them. And, I guess it turned out that Siga Osk had gotten the most votes, and so she was admitted to the final as a wild card. So that was the second semifinal of Sova Kapanen. After that, we had San Marino, who, of course, are returning to the national final, una voce per San Marino. Now, there's an interesting story in all of this. There were pretty big names in this election. For example, Jalise, is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. Who, of course, represented or won San Remo sometime in the 90s. They were pretty big. Another name was Dana Gillespie, who was singing an AI-generated song about polar bears. There was that, and then there was also Loredana Berde, who was specifically being invited by the Sammarinese broadcaster because she said that she wanted to go to Sweden to annoy her ex-husband, and then the Sammarinese broadcaster was like, "Yo, do you want to go for San Marino instead?" And she ended up being in the national final for San Marino with the exact same song that she sang at San Remo. Now, here's the funny thing. She didn't win. I think a lot of people, including myself, were expecting that the whole thing would be rigged in favor of Loredana Berde, but in the end, Megara won. Now, in case you didn't know, Megara, basically, they were a band who competed in Benidorm Fest last year, I believe, with the song Arcadia. And basically, this year they applied again with a new song, but they were rejected. And then after that, they decided to go to San Marino. And initially, they didn't even qualify directly for the final, but they qualified for the final through the second chance round and then proceeded to win the whole thing. Now, in case you're interested about the voting system, there really isn't one. It's just a 5-member jury who decides who wins the whole thing. So, for some reason, this jury decided that this act that came from the second chance round is good enough to represent San Marino. So, yeah, Megara actually won the whole selection, I think even to their own surprise. But they will now be representing San Marino with a song named 1111 or something like that. But what's interesting about this, right, is that, Nebulosa, they won Benidorm Fest earlier, and Nebulosa were famous for having been in the Sammarinese selection last year. They were, Nebulosa actually took part in Una Voce per San Marino 2023, and they were kicked out in the auditions round. So now we have a San Marino reject representing Spain, and we have a Spain reject representing San Marino. So make of that what you will. So that said, let's move on to Portugal, where we had the first semifinal of Festival da Canção. Now, prior to the semifinal, one favorite who had already emerged was Yolanda with the song Grito, and let's just say that the semifinal has basically solidified that. Now, last I checked, the live performance of Grito has over 160,000 views and is trending in Portugal about 7th or 8th place on YouTube. So, yeah, that is by far the most popular one, on YouTube trends right now. And Second place, I would say, is João Borges. That's kind of the second place, but still, nothing really comes close to Yolanda with the song Grito. Yeah, I think in terms of like view count and engagement, nothing really even comes close to Yolanda and Grito. So, barring any big surprises, we might very well be looking at our Portuguese representative for Eurovision 2024. So, yeah, I haven't looked at a lot of the other acts, I'll just be honest, but yeah, Yolanda Grito is shaping up to be a real favorite, both among fans and among the Portuguese public. So with that said, let's move on to Croatia, who had the final of the national final on Sunday instead of Saturday. I assume that's because they needed time to rehearse for the final after having the semifinals. So yeah, in terms of the selection results, I don't think anyone should be surprised to find out that Baby Lasagna has won. He was a favorite with the Croatian public for such a long time that it was kind of inevitable that he would win. Although I think a lot of people were still surprised about the results of this national final. Now, people expected him to win, but basically, I was watching the voting sequence, right? And basically, everyone was getting like 20-something points in the televote, including Let Free, by the way, which actually kind of surprised me, but Let Free didn't even get second place in the televote, but they got 20-something points, and second place in the televote got 27, and, well, Baby Lasagna got 247. That's almost 10 times the runner-up. Like, for comparison, Aliona and Jerry Hale only got 7 times the runner-up. So, yeah, a massive televote, and I think this also does call HRT's selection process into question, because how is it possible that something that wins the public so resoundingly is only initially in the backup pile for the Croatian broadcaster? So hopefully after 2024 we will see a reform of the whole selection process, and perhaps we'll see a much more competitive Croatia going forward in Eurovision. So yeah, that's Croatia. After they won, after Baby Lasagna won, Croatia actually moved up to second place in the odds. Now, I'm not sure if that's still true, but for a while they actually moved into second place in the odds, way past Israel, way past Belgium, weirdly. But that's a lot of very interesting news coming from Croatia. We will have Baby Lasagna represent Croatia with the song Rim Tim Tagi Dim. So with that said, let's go from Croatia to Serbia. Of course, they are neighbors, and as of recording this, just last night they had the first semi-final of Pesma za Eurovision. Now, that's of course a national final for Eurovision. It's been called Pesma za Eurovision for a few years now, and basically this year there's been a few favorites. One of them is Zoria. Some others include Teodora, Breskvica as well. That's another favorite. Some people say Filip Baroš, but I feel like that train has kind of long sailed. But yeah, Zoria, Breskvica, Zena, Teodora, I think these are some of the favorites. And last night we had Zoria and Breskvica perform. Now, the results were a little dubious. Of course, we don't really know the results of how well everyone did in the semifinal, but interestingly, instead of announcing Breskvica last, they actually left the last qualifier announcement for Zoria. So, could we possibly imply from this that Zoria won the semifinal instead of Breskvica? Who knows? What we do know is that there is a certain controversy with Breskvita because, according to some people, her song can be interpreted as "kill all Albanians." Now, that's not very explicitly said in the lyrics, of course, but it's one way you could interpret the lyrical content of her song. But yeah, basically there's some controversy with that, and I'll be honest, it does look a bit suspicious because Breskvita, on one hand, she says don't take it so seriously, but also is liking these kinds of comments that support this kind of Serbian nationalist view. So no one really knows for sure, but there is a bit of suspicion with Breskvita's song in terms of like the lyrical content, and it's also true that a lot of people got much more supportive of Zoria after seeing her performance of the song. So yeah, we could be seeing a Zoria versus Breskvita showdown in the final, or we could be seeing someone else instead. But we'll have to see when we get to next week. So for now, let's talk about tomorrow, because I'm recording this on the 28th, where we will have not one, not two, but 3 whole songs for Eurovision 2024. The first one is Switzerland, who will have the announcement of both the artist and the song at the same time. Although, according to a Swiss newspaper, we might already know the artist, and that is a 24-year-old artist named Nemo, who is a non-binary artist, so that could be interesting. And, when the head of delegation was kind of teasing the genre of the song, they crossed out male ballad, or rather, there was the phrase male ballad, but they crossed out the word male, so it could be a non-binary ballad, from Nemo or something like that. So who knows for sure, but yeah, according to a Swiss newspaper, we will have Nemo representing Switzerland this year, possibly with a song in English. So that's it. That's Switzerland. And actually, let me just say, Taya from Taya and Selena is very, very excited about this. She was at the Suiza songwriting camp, where presumably this song was selected, and so she was very, very excited about this. And I think just earlier today posted a photo saying, I'm more excited about this than I was for my own song release. So this could be really good. We'll have to see what happens. So yeah, we could have Nemo represent Switzerland with probably a ballad, because that's been kind of their recent discography. But we'll have to see what happens. But speaking of is it right to call it a Germanic country? I don't even know. But yes, we're going to the Netherlands as well for another internal song released. And of course, you might recall that they internally selected Joost Klein. And tomorrow, he'll be releasing a song named Europapa, which will be his Eurovision entry. And it's actually a song that's dedicated to his father, who died when he was 12 years old, I believe. And yeah, I do find it interesting how that could be incorporated into Joost's regular style. So we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, Joost Klein generally makes like more fun, upbeat songs, and we'll have to see how a song dedicated to his dad can fit that theme in as well. So that's Joost Klein, who will release his song Europapa. And another name that will release a song for Eurovision 2024 is Cyprus, with Celia Capsis releasing her song named Liar. Now, I've talked about this before, but basically this song was actually in the Greek internal selection last year, but then when it wasn't successfully selected, it was taken away from the original singer and given to Celia Capsis. The music video was shot in LA. I think parts of it in like hotel or something like that. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens. It will be interesting to see how things pan out. And also, apparently, tomorrow is the second semifinal for Pesma za Eurovision, where we will have the aforementioned Philip Baloch. We will also have Zena, for example, and Theodora. Those are some of the favorites as well. So we'll have to see how they perform as well. And yeah, that is tomorrow. So we have a semifinal and 3 songs. And wait, we're not done, because just the day after that, we have 2 more songs, and that is from Austria, where Kalin will release her song We Will Rave, and also Ollie Alexander will release his song named Dizzy. Now, with Kalin, there's a certain controversy, at least just known among us insiders. Let's say, let's just say I have connections. But basically, Colleen was selected as an kind of almost Nepo baby type thing. But people are loving We Will Rave. They don't really know the kind of backstory behind how she was selected, and I guess they just don't really care. But yeah, Colleen will be releasing her song We Will Rave, which, according to our internal sources, is literally a Melfest 2024 reject. Anyways, like I mentioned earlier, Ollie Alexander will also release his song Dizzy, which has I think a few snippets released now, including one rather unflattering one where he's singing it from the top of a roof or something. So yeah, there's that as well. But in the Eurofan community, most people are just talking about We Will Rave. So yeah, make of that what you will. And I think this kind of coinciding of song releases isn't that good for Dizzy if they want to make like a #1 hit in the UK, for example. But we have to see how things pan out. And finally, let's get on to the first week of March, where we will have 4 more national finals, and we're getting near the end of the national final season now. But yeah, this is week 1 of March, the first week of March, where let's take a look at the national finals here. First off, we have the last heat of Melodifestivalen. Now, throughout the week, we've been getting a lot of snippets and rehearsal photos and stuff for Melodifestivalen. We're gonna get more info for sure, but right now it seems the 2 locked qualifiers for the final will be Medina and Marcus and Martinez. Now, it's been said that Marcus and Martinez are bringing a song that's even more boppy than Air from last year. While Medina are also bringing a more fun song than their previous efforts, and this time is called Que Sera, I think, and it's mixing like Spanish and Swedish and I think a bit of French as well, so that will be interesting. So we'll have to see how things go there, and also for the first time we will have a proper qualifier round after Heat 5. We'll have another vote to see who the 2 extra finalists will be. So no one really knows for sure, but if you ask me, I would guess Fröken Snusk and also Gunilla Persson. Those are my 2 guesses, but I don't know that for sure. So that's Sweden. I think most people would agree that they're not winning 2 years in a row, but who knows? Maybe Medina will do it. We'll see what happens. But yeah, after that, we have the final of Summer Kapanen, where, like I mentioned, we could possibly get Bashar Murad to win the national final. We could have Hera Björk. We could have Vibe. But like I mentioned earlier, only Vibe are singing in Icelandic. They actually decided this through like an Instagram poll. They decided should they keep the song in Icelandic or should they sing the English version called Movie Clip. So they didn't do that in the end. Of course, the Instagram poll decided that they were going to sing Biomind in the final. So yeah, that's cool. And Bashar Murad is singing in English, which is normal, but I did suggest that he could possibly sing like the last chorus in Icelandic, and he liked that tweet, so maybe it'll happen. So we'll have to see what happens there. But Bashar Murad is singing the English version of the song called Wild West. F-Sor, who I think is going to win, I don't know, probably Bashar Murad, but we'll have to see how things pan out. And I think there is a super final as well for the top two. The top two, in the first round, I think there is also a jury, but in the second round, it's like Estonia, where it's only the televote deciding the winner. So we could get Bashar Murad and then someone else like Vibe, or hell, even Sika Osk in the final, super final. So we'll have to see what happens. And then after that, we will also have Serbia with the final of Pesma za Euroviziju. Like I said, I think it's still a little bit up in the air. I think the winner will be, however, between Zoria, Breskvica, Teodora, and also Zena. I think those four are probably... one of those four will be representing Serbia in Eurovision 2024. Some people have suspected that they might rig it for Breskvica, but I don't know that for sure, because there will be a jury. There will be a jury in the final. It's not international. I think it's just like a regional jury. We'll have to see how they vote. But in any case, I would say the representative is between Zoria, Breskvica, Teodora, and Zena. I think those four are kind of the big favorites. Sorry, Filip Baloch, maybe next time. But yeah, that's Serbia. We'll have to see what happens. I haven't followed it that closely. Like I mentioned, I haven't followed a lot of national finals that closely this year. But I would say those four that I mentioned are probably the most likely ones to win and represent Serbia in Eurovision 2024. And finally, we will also have the second semifinal for Festival da Canção. Another semifinal that I haven't followed that closely, and to my understanding, there's nothing in this semi that's really like kind of threatening the position of Gritu by Yolanda. But we'll have to see what happens. But right now, as it stands, I don't think there's anything in the second semifinal that's really threatening Yolanda's position as the big favorite in the national final, but we'll have to see what happens. So that is going to do it for this video in terms of reviewing and previewing the national finals. So let's go and look at the odds and see how that has changed. Right, so let's go as usual from bottom to top. First, well, last actually, we have Albania, who of course they selected their entry a long time ago, but there will be a revamp coming in March, where actually Bessa posted a preview and it sounds completely different to the current song. And it's also going to be in English, so we'll have to see how that goes, I suppose. And then we have Czechia above that. Again, another song that was selected very early, and I've heard this is also going to have a big revamp, although I would imagine not as drastic as for Albania. And then after that, we have Malta, who, these actually, if you ask people, they would say they selected correctly. However, if we look at the semifinal, it is still a pretty strong one, and it's still not entirely certain whether they can even qualify out of that semi. And the same goes for Moldova, I would say. And then after that, we have Luxembourg, who are, if you ask me, actually quite rightly so, down here in the bottom. But personally, that's because the song just isn't that bombastic or really warrants that huge staging that they got in the national final. Of course, we know why it got that staging, but yeah, it's down here because the song just isn't like wowing anyone by any means, and honestly, currently a lot of people are speculating that we could have the entire first half qualify, and Tali is in the second half. And also I mentioned earlier on Twitter that they don't have Germany, they don't have France, they don't have Belgium, they don't have the Netherlands in the semi. No one, around them are in the semi voting for Luxembourg. So, where people speculated that Luxembourg could be the first country since Ukraine to have 100% qualifying rate, I would say Luxembourg is probably the first country to have, well, not the first country actually. They one of the first countries, I would say, to have a 0% qualifying rate. Because remember, we have countries like Monaco and Andorra. So, yeah, I would say Luxembourg would be coming back with a 0% qualification rate. And if you ask me, rightly so. After that, we have Portugal. I'm not sure why they're down this low, considering Yolanda and Grito, but who knows? Maybe it's just early days. They haven't seen a lot of the songs and just haven't been informed enough to put bets on yet. After that, we have San Marino with Megara. Possible, I'm not really sure. I haven't looked too much in detail into the second semifinal. But of course, you need to remember these are like winning odds, right? These are like odds of the country winning Eurovision. So yeah, it is pretty safe to say that San Marino isn't winning, but in terms of qualifying, maybe they have a better chance. And honestly, that goes for all of these. Denmark, Slovenia, Latvia, San Marino, I would say they don't have that much of a chance of winning, but I think qualifying is pretty good. And then we have Germany, who, like many years in the past, are not in the top 26. Yeah, personally, if you ask me, they just made the wrong choice. I'm not convinced Rick would have been able to bring Germany another win, but I think they certainly would have gotten enough jury points to bring them out of the bottom 5. So yeah, they just made the wrong choice once again, but I guess they just don't know how Eurovision works. And then we have Serbia. I'm not sure why they're down this low. I think they should be higher probably, but yeah. Then we also have Poland. I believe they actually started going down after Justina was not announced. But yeah, that's Luna for you. I think I don't know that for sure, but I think in terms of qualifying, this is pretty safe because they have all of the diaspora countries in the same semi and such. And so I think they will qualify very safely, but how they'll do in the final, I'm not so sure. With Spain, it's a hard one to say because it's been pretty viral, actually. I wouldn't say it's completely chanceless like they imply here. So I wouldn't put it at 24th myself personally, but, here you are. And then we have Estonia. I think I get why they put it here because it's a song for a televote and the jury will absolutely bomb this. So, yeah, they're not going to win, but I think qualifying is pretty easy. And then we have Azerbaijan. I'm pretty sure they were lower. I'm not sure why they're back up here, but if there's actually been leaks of the two songs available now on Twitter, but I haven't heard them, but the people have said that both of the final selected songs are terrible. So I'm not sure they're going to qualify. If anything, I will put them even lower than this. Because if we take a look at this first semifinal, it's a really, really strong one. And I think Azerbaijan is just going to lose out from all of that. And then after that, we have the Netherlands, who is a fair position, I would say, in terms of winning, because I don't think that's going to win, no offense, but yeah, it's not, I don't think it's going to get enough jury support, knowing Joost Klein's recent work, and same for Cyprus. I think I have heard a little bit of the song, but that was kind of an official snippet. I think it's just there. I don't know if it's going to qualify even, but it's just kind of a, dance pop by numbers. So we'll have to see what happens though. And then we have Armenia, who have not said anything, but there's been 3,000 rumors since then. Yeah, that's that. And then there's Greece. I'm not sure why Greece is so low, because Marina Sati is a very credible artist and has been working with very credible names for the song and the music video. So I'm really not sure why this is that low. Anyways, yeah, that's Greece. I would personally put them much, much higher than this, but we'll see how the song turns out, I suppose. And then we have Australia, who I still don't know who they're going to be represented by. It might be Delta Goodrum, it might be someone else. Yeah, I don't know how to comment on it because we don't have anything. And then in 16th place, we have Finland. I would say that's definitely too high. I would argue that Estonia should probably be higher than Finland, if anything, if we're talking about like televote bait songs. So I'm not really sure why it's up there. We'll have to see what happens. Like I said, maybe it could just be early days and not a lot of people have put money into the system yet. So yeah, that's Finland. And above them we have Ireland. Again, I think this is just Irish Eurofans putting a lot of money into their own entry because there are a lot of people who are suggesting that the entire first half of semi-final 1, except Ireland, could qualify for the final. So they would be suggesting that Ireland could be the one to NQ, but no one knows for sure. So we'll have to see how that goes. Then we have Switzerland. Knowing Taya's review on it, we could be even higher, but we'll see. I have no idea why Austria is so high. This might just be fan hype, to be honest. So yeah, I don't have any comments. This song isn't particularly new. It's not really bringing anything new to the table. I don't think it's going to be staged that amazingly, if you will, but yeah, we'll have to see what happens, I suppose. Georgia, I also don't know why they're that high. I think it's good that she's working with Darko Dimitrov for her song. Other than that, I haven't heard any snippets or anything like that, so I don't know why this is so high compared to other years. Israel, I'm surprised to see this low, actually. I think people started voting for, betting on other countries over Israel when they heard that their song might be rejected, which, by the way, as of recording this, has been rejected a second time now. I still would have expected them to be higher, in place of, Iceland. Above them, we have Norway, which I think should be a lot higher. Personally, to me at least, Ulvaham is still the only song where I can picture it actually winning the national final. That might just be me, but I feel like Norway really should be in the discussion for winning the whole contest because the song is just so good. The performance is amazing. But yeah, I feel like they should be higher. And another entry that I feel should not be in this position is Lithuania. Why the hell is Lukdelk in the top 10? I don't get it. To me, it sounds like something that would get 16th place. I like the song. I sang along to it in the arena. You heard in that video, but it's not something that convinces me as a particularly strong entry. It's a credible entry, but I wouldn't call it a strong entry. So I don't really know what it's doing up here in the top 10. Maybe it's just them. Maybe I just don't get the hype. Who knows? And then we have, at number 8, we have Slimane for France. I would say that's fair, actually, because this year we just have a distinct lack of jury bait songs, and Mon Amour is just jury bait and more, right? We'll have to see what happens, but I think France could easily win the jury this year, or maybe come second to Sweden or something like that. But I think France could be in for a pretty good position this year because Slimane is a very, very reliable vocalist. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens. And then above France, we have their age-old enemy, the UK. Again, I still maintain this is mostly like Brits voting on their own candidates. rather than everyone agreeing that they're actually good. But we'll see. I think Dizzy could be a big hit in the UK. As of winning Eurovision, though, I'm not so sure. I think it will have to depend on how they decide to stage the whole song. And then we have Belgium. I'm certainly not complaining. I've been rooting for Musti the entire season, and I'm so glad that he's finally getting appreciated. So I can't wait to hear his song myself. I haven't heard it yet, but yeah, I can't wait to hear the song, and I've been loving his previous songs, and I'm really glad that he's up here, and I think it will be very interesting for Belgium to win again after having not done so for decades. So yeah, after that we have Sweden, who has weirdly moved up to 5th. I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe it's for Medina, maybe it's for Marcus and Martinez, but it's definitely not for Dotter. I'm sorry to say. I'm not even sure she's going to get top 5 in the final of Melfest, but we'll see what happens. In 4th, Italy. I'm not sure why it's that high, actually. I think it's a credible, very, very credible song, but without the staging, I just can't be convinced that this can actually win Eurovision, you know? So, yeah, that's just my thoughts, though. Maybe they'll have dancers, maybe they'll have good effects or whatever, but we'll see what happens. And then above that, Iceland. I'm not convinced that they'll win, even with Bashar Murad, mind you. I think this is a lot of just like uninformed locals putting money into Iceland because allegedly they have a Palestinian representing them. But even then, I think Wild West, it's a good song, great staging, but I don't think it's particularly a winning song, you know? But we'll have to see what happens. I don't think they should be up here that high, maybe down lower in the top 10, but that's just my opinion. And then Croatia. I think this is part of the Katia effect. People who think that the song is a televote bomb, but also kind of jury friendly enough to be able to get over the line to win. But I'm not so sure. I like the song. I think the song is great, but I'm not really sure it's a winner. But I guess it's, again, early days, and it's so early that for some reason Ukraine is number 1 in the odds. I think the song is a great song to listen to sing along to, but I think the staging was a little bit underwhelming at Vidbeer, so I'm not sure where they're getting this from, but yeah, we'll have to see how things pan out, how they stage this at Eurovision. Ukraine is known to greatly elevate their staging, but we'll have to see how things turn out. And yeah, that will do it for this video of review and preview. Please, again, excuse my voice. I've been sick for a few days, and I hope you enjoyed this video nonetheless. The next video I'll probably be uploading maybe next week. I don't even know. Or maybe it'll be a review, or rather a what we know so far video, because I should probably do one of those for February. I might not, because I just don't have the time. But yeah, that is gonna do it for this review and preview video. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Like this video if you did enjoy. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss my upcoming content, which may or may not include a what we know so far video. And I'll see you next time.